Welcome in, everyone. Today we're diving into something a lot of singers chase, but not many can really explain, that undeniable vocal feel and style you hear in Benson Boone's singing. What makes it hit so hard? Why does it sound so human, so alive, instead of just technically correct? That's what we're unpacking today. In this stream, Brad Chapman, the vocal absorption coach, is going to break down Benson Boone's incredible vocal style and feel, and show you how to learn straight from his recordings. Brad's been doing this for decades, with around 50 years of real-world experience producing major artists, including legends like Whitesnake and Anita Baker. He's also earned 24 platinum records along the way, so this isn't theory. This is the kind of insight you only get from being in the room when great voices get built. And here's the big idea we're focusing on today: artistry isn't just mechanics. It's not only breath support, vowels, and range. Those tools matter, sure. But what separates a singer who simply sounds impressive from a singer who actually moves people is absorption. It's how you take in emotion, groove, and intention, and then let it come out through your voice in a way that feels natural and believable. So if you're tired of sounding stiff, tired of feeling like your vocals are accurate but empty, and you're ready to stop singing like a robot and start singing with real feel, put a "yes" in the chat right now. Let's get to work.
Have you ever tried to cover a Benson Boone song or any contemporary song? Hit every single note perfectly, had great pitch, great tone, and yet when you listen back it just sounded wrong, sounded boring, sounded like you were reading from a phone book rather than telling a story? Well, you're not alone. This is the single biggest frustration I see in singers today. We're obsessed with correctness. We're taught that if we hit the right pitch at the right time, we have done our job. But when we listen to a track like Mystical Magical, we're hearing something that goes far beyond correctness. We're hearing a feeling. We're hearing a very specific, exciting, happy atmosphere. Most vocal coaches will tell you to practice your scales. They'll tell you to work on your breath support, and those things are important. But they won't help you sing Mystical Magical or most other contemporary songs, because the magic of this song isn't in the technique, it's in the absorption of emotion. Today we're going to try something different. We're going to stop analyzing and start absorbing. We're going to use two simple tools, Melodyne and Audacity, not to be engineers, but to be mirrors. We're going to look at the rhythm you can't hear. We're going to learn a technique called perfect unison that will change the way you practice forever. I'm going to show you how to stop singing at the song and start singing inside the song. By the end of this session, you won't know just how to sing Mystical Magic. You'll know how to borrow the soul of any artist you admire and filter it through your very own voice. This is about moving from being a technician to being an artist. Let me show you how right now. Okay, we're going to get into the show now, and I'm going to bring up the image of Benson Boone so that you remember who we're talking about here. And then I'm going to play the, there it is. I'm going to play the track. Now, we're only going to work on one phrase, and it's fairly long, but it's a very quick song, so it won't take long. Listen to this, and this is the phrase we're going to be learning, how we're going to learn from Benson Boone. He's going to be our teacher today.
My company, would you know what my love's gonna feel like? Nothing else will feel right. You can feel like moonbeam ice cream, taking off your blue jeans, dancing at the movies.
Okay, and I'm back live. I'm sorry, that just sounded funny to me, but I think it's great. And Tony's in the wings. So you're going to be learning something here. This is not just us goofing off, even though we do tend to have a good time. And if you find that that's not fun for you, then I don't know. Maybe you should take a look at a different industry, because this is all about fun. Whether you're learning something quote-unquote serious or not, learning from Benson Boone is going to be fun, and we're going to enjoy the process. There's a couple of things that I do to help you guys learn. Number one is we have to bust the myth. What is that myth? Well, I kind of talked about it a little bit in the introduction. The idea that we have to be perfectly on pitch and perfectly in rhythm. I'm going to prove to you, you're going to hear it, and then you're going to see how wrong it is in today's music. It's very good in today's classical music, but what I mean by today's music is I mean contemporary music, the kind of things you hear on the radio, the kind of, Spotify, etc. The great artists that are putting out new material all the time in the contemporary world, blues, rhythm and blues, country, rap, doesn't matter. It's all about the creativity, and that's what we're going to learn from Benson Boone. So the first thing we do here is I'm going to bring up Tony, because Tony is a good part of this show. He is a great guy. We have a blast working together. And he's my student today, and he's going to be kind of your teacher in a way. We have Benson Boone as the number one teacher. I'm the coach who's going to facilitate the learning. Tony's going to help show you how this system works so that you know what to practice if you buy the program. It's the Vocal Muse program, and it takes you step by step on how to learn a great song from anyone. And I mentioned that in the intro. It's not just Benson Boone we're talking about. You can put anybody you want in the Vocal Muse system and learn how they do their thing. The other thing we're going to show you today is how to change a key, which is important to make sure you don't strain when you're learning. All right, so this is Tony and I's favorite part here is because it's so funny. You go, why is it funny? Well, you'll find out. Okay, so I'm going to pull it up on the screen here. What happened here? Wait a minute. Okay, here we go. And share this guy. Excellent. Now come back to StreamYard and put it on the stage. Brad is learning to get better at this. It takes time, you guys. If you ever decide to do this kind of show, it takes a little time. All right, so here is the sheet music that represents the part that we just heard. Everything looking good there, Tony?
Everything's looking great.
And please keep an eye on the chat if anybody wants me to respond to them.
Will do.
Okay, so right here it starts, and the original key, by the way, is this key here. He starts on C5. The recording we just played is live. He did that at B flat. So that means he's a little bit lower if you don't know music. So just listen to this and kind of think in your mind, okay, I just heard Benson Boone, plus I've heard him other times maybe, and now I'm hearing the sheet music, and if I was to learn this from the sheet music, what would I sound like? Here we go. Okay, let's do that one more time. I just get such a kick out. Now, to be a little bit serious here, when I was teaching back in the day when we used pianos, this is the way people had to learn songs. I could feel that it was wrong because I've always been a lover of contemporary music ever since the 60s. Didn't feel right, but, we had to use the pianos because what else were we going to do? Do a cappella? Well, that may not have worked out much better. But this is what a singer sounds like when they learn it. Now, nobody's going to be singing here because I wouldn't want to embarrass them like that. But the piano we can embarrass because it doesn't care. There we go. Okay, the next section of this I love because it is melodyne, and for the first time in my life, about 5 years ago when I first bought it, I was able to see what I could hear. And one of the things that we find in singers today, and actually this was even true in the 60s, when people tried to tell me that, the Beatles sang flat, I didn't believe them. I thought, no, he's perfect. Well, there's a reason for that. Once we decided that a singer is good and that we like them, then it just automatically makes us think that they're in tune. So let me put this on the stage for you. But we can see with our very own eyes now that that's not the case. Now, it's in tune for contemporary music, and that's the separation we want to get into here. What is in tune? Does it mean it has to be in tune with the piano? Not in contemporary music. It has to be in tune with whatever the feel is, whatever the emotional expression is that fits within that genre. And every genre, interestingly enough, has a different tuning. And I've learned as a coach that I have to stay on top of that, because if I have a country singer in here, I'm not going to put them perfectly on pitch for classical, certainly, and I may not even put them perfectly on pitch for contemporary music. So I need to stay within their genre. Of course, they're mixing genres a lot now, which makes it even more fun, but that's the way it goes. All right, this is a visual representation of a voice. This is Boone Benson's actual voice. It's the track alone. There's no other music in here, so we can hear exactly what he's doing, and we can see exactly what he's doing. So, first of all, let me play it so you're hearing Benson Boone without music, and then we'll take a look at each one of these notes, and we'll check out the rhythm. Is he perfectly in time, the way that classical music says? You have to be 1E and a 2E and a 3E in it, because this, I believe, is in eighth notes. Yeah, I was saying quarters because it's bum, 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 bum. Yeah, it goes really quick. So these are actually quarter notes represented here. But let's play it first so you can remember what we're talking about.
Once you know what my love's gonna feel like, nothing else will feel right. You can feel like moonbeam ice cream, taking off your blue jeans, dancing at the movies.
Okay? All right. So, again, that sounds perfectly in pitch and perfectly in rhythm to us because we buy this music. We love it. So we just go, he's perfectly in time and perfectly in rhythm, according to music theory. But music theory doesn't live in this world. This is the world of art. Music theory lives in the mechanical, okay? Everybody's got to be intellectual. This is the way we do it. I'm not saying that's wrong, believe me. I think we all have a place in this world musically. I don't get down on anybody for doing anything. That sounds a little bit ridiculous, but hey, if you want to do devil music, I'll help you. I'm not going to be the devil, and I'm not going to get into what you're saying, but I'll help you because we have a free speech country here. So I don't put myself in the position of going, well, I'm going to censor that. No. All right. So let's just take a look here. These orange blobs represent pitch and rhythm. So let me show you kind of how it works so you understand. Now these gray squares right here that also are inside the left to the right gray here, and also you'll see they go white, gray. That tells us what key it's in, but that's irrelevant. You don't need to know that. But this blob right here, or this pitch, is the first note he hits. Now, Melodyne won't play it because it's so much of a sibilant that it really is inaudible. You'll also see this line that goes up here. That's kind of part of his style. And you can't really hear that exactly, but it does show us how erratic he is because erraticness, if that's a word, erraticness makes it so that it's interesting. Perfect pitch and perfect rhythm tends to be, as I call it, robotic. And we don't want to be robotic because we won't get audience attention, we won't feel anything, we won't have much fun. But if we want to be intellectual, don't do this. Don't learn what I'm going to teach you because this is not, you cannot intellectualize this. And that's why I use the term absorption, which we'll get into with Melodyne. All right, probably made you wonder, is this guy ever going to get to this? Okay, the other thing here is from the vertical lines that are going also from left to right because this is almost like sheet music. This is actually called a piano roll. This is what you're seeing here. These are all notes and these are the piano rolls. Okay, so right here you say he's actually coming right in the middle of the quarter. Now if we turn that to eighths, which I can do, I'm not going to bother with it, but if we turn that to eighths, we can see that maybe some of these are on the eighth beat, on the eighth note. But right here, certainly the sibilant is early, and then the vowel actually comes out a little bit late, way early here. I find that he's early quite a bit because I think that's the feel of it, being happy, having a good time, made him rush a little bit. And that's the real thing we want to know about our singers that we admire. Why is it feeling that way? What's happening that's making this phenomena the reality that it is? And so he's late here, right on here, a little early here. I'm not saying that he's not on all that. Sometimes he is a little early here, a little early here, just a hair late there, little bit early there. Sometimes sibilants can trick us a little bit, but this one is dead on. Little early here. I'm not going to go on to all of these because there's about 30 of them, and that's just ridiculous. But here's the pitch part. Melodyne shows us exactly what pitch he's singing. Is he sharp? Is he flat? Is he on pitch? Well, let's find out. This one right here you see is a little bit below the gray. So it's extending down below this line right here. That means, in music terms, it's flat, which means, in theory, that this shouldn't sound good. But it does. So I'm going to play it for you so we can actually see with our own eyes how flat it is. Okay, that is 19% flat, almost 20% flat. But hey, when we heard it, it sounded good to us, and it does sound good. And I'm not saying it isn't. I'm saying this sounds great. These little lines in here are the erratic things that we hear in voices like vibrato and funny little shakes and so forth. And again, a guy who's singing with emotion, he's not going to have a perfectly looking blob here. He doesn't even want to have a perfectly looking blob. Hey, let's call him and see. Tony's great because he always laughs at me, at my jokes. Anyway, this one here is really close. It's only 3% flat, which I would just call that's on pitch. Here's another one, right on pitch. This one's a little bit sharp. Okay, sharp means that he's just a little bit above the designated pitch. But again, it sounds great. This one's flat. This one's flat here. As he's coming down the ba, 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 he's kind of, I call it falling down the stairs. There's a few flat notes, but this one, just before he gets down to this last note, is sharp. So I don't know, maybe his energy level came up for a second. Who knows? This one's pretty much right on, and this one is flat. So by the time he lands on that, ba, 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 he's a little bit flat. Then he comes back here sharp, etc. So I don't really want to show you this to teach you. I want to show you this just to understand that when we're listening to Benson Boone and Tony is learning from Benson Boone, or I'm learning, or anybody else is learning from Boone, we have to keep this in mind, that we're not looking for perfect pitch and perfect rhythm. It will not help us. What we have to do is absorb what he's doing, and the next piece of software I bring up to do this is called Audacity. This is where the learning begins. Right, Tony?
Yes, sir.
I thought I'd see if his voice was still working.
Still here.
Just checking, Brad's got to check. Okay, so I'm on the stage, or Tony's on the stage. Let me bring up Audacity. That's just a DAW, by the way. What's a DAW? Well, it's not duh. It's actually software that edits, plays, and creates music. So let me bring it up so you can see what it looks like. And you may have seen these things before. This is getting pretty modern. People are kind of getting used to seeing waveforms. We've done something a little bit different here. It's called a stem splitter. And it is something that AI has created, which is a phenomenon that we just love, and I love in teaching. This track here, you'll see two waveforms. They're really identical, so it means it's in stereo. These two lines here are the music only. There's no vocal in this line here. This line here is Benson all by himself. Now, we won't get into too much of that today, but it really helps when you're actually trying to become Tony and not be Benson anymore, that we can slowly remove Benson as Tony is learning, so that Tony becomes more and more independent. Now, Tony may not need that because he's very, very wise and, well, maybe I shouldn't use the word wise. He's a very experienced musician.
Oh, boy, you don't know me well, huh?
He's been tricking me all this time.
I have.
Anyway, I hope you guys get into the fun of this, because, rehearsals should be this way, performances should be this way, because audiences want to see us have fun. But, the YouTube phenomenon is like, oh, God, edit everything, no ums, no nothing, no stuff. I'm not going to go there. Music is about fun and throwing things out and seeing how they come back, seeing if Tony frowns or laughs at me. He's my audience, right? And if you don't notice, you can still see us over here on the left.
Uh-oh.
Just these tiny little guys here. All right. So I'm going to play this again with the music, just to remind us what phrase it is we're working on. And then we'll take a look at how we're going to learn from Benson. So just listen for a moment.
My company, would you know what my love's gonna feel like? Nothing else will feel right. You can feel like moonbeam ice cream, taking off your blue jeans, dancing at the movies.
I don't know. That just feels so good to me.
It is. It's so happy.
Yeah, tell him, Tony, you didn't even know who he was or whether you liked him.
No, I had no idea. I was just looking up Billboard artists that are current now, and I just hit this kid by mistake, and holy cow, I just fell in love with the way he sings.
Yeah, because he loves his singing. Yeah. If you walk away with anything from this masterclass, as I call it, it's that these people are enjoying what they're doing, even if they're crying, even if they're angry, even if they're punk rockers. They're not up there because somebody is holding a gun at their back. There's nobody, generally speaking, there's no one in the world, unless you have a stage parent, that will tell you got to get up there and perform. And stage parents and their children don't usually do very well in this industry because it ruins the artistry. So most of the people that you really, really feel deeply about and really, really love are doing it only for one reason, because they chose it, they love it, they want to do it. And that's Tony and I's life. And, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I've been doing this 60 plus years, and I wouldn't do anything else. And that includes performing and teaching. I don't perform anymore, but I remember those years. It was a lot of fun, the band rehearsals and so forth. Okay, so this goes by fairly quickly. Now, here's the mistake that all of us make. That's too inclusive. Most of us make. when we try to learn a new song. And actually, we don't even take a phrase like this at one point. Now, I'm teaching it to you to help you learn much faster and to save a lot of time. But generally what they'll do, and Tony will humbly demonstrate, what it would be like if he would just play this phrase and sing along without anything else other just, you have the lyrics, right, Tony?
I do.
Okay, so he's just going to sing along with Benson. I'm giving Tony a couple of bars just so he can feel the rhythm, and then Tony will come in on the B flat. However, we're going to change that right now because we know that in Tony's goal to be a better singer, that he wants the C5s and he wants the B flat 4s, but they're just a little bit out of his range. So we don't want to strain or work on technique when we're working on this kind of thing. So I am going to lower the key. So you can't see this, but I go to Effect in Audacity. I come over here. You'll be able to see this part. This little box shows up, and it tells me that I can change the key in this. So what is a key? Well, it just kind of is a parameter, if you will, that tells us what's going to happen if we do it in a certain key, and then we can decide what we want to do from there. So we're going to take this down 2 steps. So that's semitones in the world of music. And let's go -2. You can see that here. Then I preview it just to kind of make sure that this computer is doing somewhat close to what I told it to do. So you can hear now Benson sounds a little lower, right? Now this is a great tool, especially if you're a beginner and you have very little range, or you're a bass and you don't want to sing it an octave lower because it sounds too muddy, too bassy. So then you would raise the key. If you're a woman learning this song, you might raise the key again, just to make sure that your voice is really comfortable when you're doing your phrasing and your emotional expression. So this is not a technique lesson. If you want to know what's missing in this seminar, there is no technique. I'm not going to talk about it other than what we just said here, where it's good to lower the key to make sure the voice is comfortable. So I'm going to apply it. Okay. All right. Now my good friend and student here is going to sing along with Benson. So there'll be 2 things that Tony will have to register. Oh, it's a new key. Okay. All right. Okay. I got it. All right. Here we go. But he's pretty quick. Here we go.
My company, wouldn't you know what my love's gonna feel like? Nothing else will feel right. You can feel like moonbeam ice cream, taking off your blue jeans, dancing at the movies.
Okay, so he listened once, which most people would not do. So this time he's going to sing along, just trying to match Benson without really having done much research. Here we go.
My company, wouldn't you know what my love's gonna feel like? Nothing else will feel right. You can feel like moonbeam ice cream, taking off your blue jeans, dancing at the movies.
Now, I want you to all realize, if you've ever sung wrong with a record, this is what it sounds like. If you just put a record, you've got the radio, and you turn it on and you just start singing along, your timing and your rhythm is not right. Now, okay, well, Brad, but I've done it 100 times. Okay, well, it's going to be a lot better. You'll be a lot closer. But you won't learn what Benson has to teach you because there's too many details in here. And what Tony experienced was, I'll say this and then Tony will back me up. Right, Tony?
Absolutely.
I got a check in the mail. Okay.
You're right.
Right. When we're hearing the voice and singing at the same time, what is it we can't hear very well? That's an actual question for you, Tony.
Oh, you know what? I've got to admit, I kind of have a problem hearing both myself and his voice in my ears other than my own resonance.
Yeah. Well, that's true for all of us, unless we turn the singer up louder.
Right.
And I could have done that, and that's a bad habit too, because if you blast the singer so loud you can't hear yourself at all, you'll be tone deaf. And I've done much research, and I mean literally tone deaf. You will sing sharp, flat, out of rhythm, maybe even the wrong words, and you won't know it because you can't hear yourself. That's another subject we'll get into with in-ear monitors. Actually, you know what? I wasn't sure where I was going to put in-ear monitors in today's discussion, but I just found it. Yep. Okay, in-ear monitors. What does that mean? Well, when you've seen an artist on stage and it looks like they're wearing a hearing aid, it's not a hearing aid. It is actually representative of these headphones, except for that it's inside the ear. hence in-ear monitors or in-ear headphones. Sometimes people call them that. That's so that the singer can hear what's going on if the band on stage is too loud. Or even cooler, in today's big concerts, when you go into a big concert and you see what looks like I don't know what to call it. It's like this big area where there's all this equipment and everything. There's got, the Mr. Oz is there, running all the equipment. And he's, back maybe, 1,000 feet or whatever. He's controlling what they hear in their in-ear monitors. Now, during sound check, they do ask him, what are you hearing? He'll ask the artists. And the artist will come back and say, well, the snare drum's driving me crazy. But the point is it's just exactly like being in a recording session, except for it's live. There's no sound on the stage. We say, what about the drummer? Well, in the better ones, he's in a cage. Have you seen the plastic sheeting? That's to mute him from the band so that they're not hearing the drummer on the stage. So everything that they're hearing is in the in-ear monitors. Why were in-ear monitors invented? Well, I can tell you my experience back in the 80s, before they really became a thing and they were really expensive, like $6,000 a pair, or whatever you could find. Feedback. The drummers start playing louder. The bass player would turn up so he could hear his bass landing on the kick. Guitar player would start turning up because he'd lost all the bottom end and everything's just boom, 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 boom. He can't hear himself, so he turns it up. The keyboard player says, I can't tell what I'm doing. Turns it up. Well, all four of these people, as they get louder, don't have feedback. Not a problem. Okay? The singer. Now we have another problem entirely. We have a live microphone on the stage that's picking up all this stuff, sending it through the microphone back through the speakers, and then it creates what you could call an echo at first, and then it starts spinning so fast that it hurts your ears because you hear the squealing. Or sometimes it's mid-range, it's or like, and then the sound engineer, panics and goes, oh, they don't want to hear that, and he tries to make everything work. But the in-ear monitors made it so that doesn't happen anymore. So there's no speakers on the stage, so the microphone's not picking up anything anymore. No squeal. That's why they were invented. So what's your experience with in-ear monitors, Tony? I know we wanted to talk about maybe helping people understand how they work and what the problems are with them.
I think that the only thing that happens when you first start using them and getting used to them, you have a little bit of a feeling where you're almost too isolated.
Mm-hmm.
So there are solutions for that, but it takes a little getting used to. But once you get used to it, the straining to try to hit your notes and to try to be loud enough comes to an end. You don't fight at all anymore. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's almost like your voice therapist.
Yeah.
He tells you how to take care of your voice. Well, you put the in-ear monitors, you don't need them anymore. Not literally, but
no.
Honest guys, I do believe in you. I love you guys. And I do voice therapy myself. But taking the pressure off, because when you are a singer on stage, and this will be hard for a lot of you to relate to, one of Tony's friends, Daryl?
Daryl.
Yeah, Daryl said it very well. You feel like you're drowning.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going on. Your body's in panic mode. You might even be shaking. You don't even know. Your brain is just locked up in, where's my voice? And what I've discovered is that if this ear here, and I won't go into the story, but I actually fixed my dad's hearing aids so that he didn't talk so loud because he couldn't hear his own voice in his hearing aids. So we had it adjusted so that he could hear his own voice, and he just calmed down. All of a sudden, he was talking like everybody else. It was just terrific. But point is that if this ear right here cannot hear this voice, either electronically through this mic or in an open room, then I'm going to go into panic. And I won't know it. I won't feel it. I've talked to singers who thought they did really good on stage. I said, wait till you hear this recording. You're going to cry. Because everybody in the audience could hear you out of tune, out of rhythm, in a different key sometimes. You're so far off, you don't know. So in-ear monitors, I've taken on as a personal thing to let all of my students know that if you can afford them, and they're getting really inexpensive now. And I will say this, any pair of in-ear monitors is usually better in rehearsal than any speakers in the room because of feedback. So if all you've got is $50, stick it in your ear, That sounded like a threat. No, but really, put it in there. Turn the speakers off, and use the in-ear monitors. Now, one of the things that Tony mentioned about feeling isolated is that they design these things so that an audiologist has actually a molding that he puts in it, so that when you buy it, he actually puts the molding on it. He does you go into his office and he does all these fancy things, and then he sends that information to Ultimate Ears, such and such a kind of company. Don't want to exclude any others. And then it seals the ear. And the reason it seals the ear is because these in-ear monitors work in a little bit of a different way. If they lose their seal, they lose the lower jaw vibrations, and it becomes very tinny sounding. You lose all the bottom end, even in your own voice. So people don't like that, so they mold them so they won't slip in and out. Now, if you don't have them molded, they probably will slip in and out, but it's still better than speakers, because feedback is the enemy. And if you've got any way you can kill that feedback, use AI, use in-ear monitors, whatever, they used to use parametric EQs and graphic EQs, over the years, a lot of things have changed. Now they have, what they call feedback killers, who seek it out, right, and try to find it before the audience hears it and, nullify it. So it gets really complicated, but the in-ear monitors have fixed that. So I highly recommend in-ear monitors. Now, back to what we were doing here. If you have any questions in the chat, I know some of you that are watching this are going, I don't know who this guy is, I don't know what he's talking about. Well, ask a question, Maybe you'll care about the answer, maybe you won't, but that's why we do it live, is so that you guys can be involved. Otherwise, I can just record these and send them out to you, but you won't get a chance to ask questions if we do it that way. Okay, back to Audacity. So we've changed the key. We've done that. Tony sang with it much more comfortably, and that's the point here, because we're looking at phrasing, inflections, and emotions. We're not looking at technique. Now, the next thing is called tempo change. Very simple to do. I don't know why we haven't been doing it for the last 100 years, but we haven't. And I'm just as guilty as anybody else. I sang professionally for most of my life, about half my life, without ever using this system. Well, it wasn't available, because when you used to slow tape down, it actually changed the key. So you take a tenor and turn them into a bass by the time you slowed it down enough that you could actually hear what was going on, or even worse, it would, right? So you couldn't learn from that. But with this new technology, this new software, and I say new, it's probably been around 20 years or more, we can change the key and the tempo separately. So we've already changed the tempo to make sure that it's really comfortable for Tony, and you should do the same thing if you're using Audacity this way. Make sure that the phrase that you're trying to learn is comfortable. Let's get back to why I only picked one phrase. For the reason that you just heard, when we try to learn too much, then we really don't learn anything. So we want to take one phrase at a time so that every phrase is perfectly clear as to how Benson sang this. We won't get into this today, but you will find as you go through this song that Benson sang every phrase a little differently, even the choruses. Even the same notes that the sheet music would say is identical, he sang it a little bit differently. That's what artists do. It's not like improv where he's like going all wild like with the black gospel stuff, but it's a little bit different. And you'll see that when you slow things down and hear it. Okay, so I'm going to apply it. And for convenience, we put this loop in effect. Now, if Tony really wants to learn this, he's going to have homework. We're not going to do this today because it's too time-consuming. He's going to go listen to this in this slow tempo 20 or 30 times. Just listen, no singing. As he is absorbing through the listening what Benson is doing, it's becoming a part of him. He's hearing. Now with his ear, he's hearing maybe more than some of us, but he's hearing and he's getting it and he's absorbing. Then he starts to sing. So to make this happen more quickly, he's going to listen 3 times, sing along twice, and then I'll show you the next wonderful feature that Audacity has to help you learn. You ready, Tony?
Yes, sir.
He looks ready. Hey, turn his reverb up. I like that.
Wait, I'm going to bring that down.
No. When you're singing with a track, it's really good.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, talking is not so good. That's a weird thing about reverb. Is I've noticed when I've been in the studio with engineers and producers, and you can really hear it. I don't know if you've noticed this, Tony, but you're singing along, or somebody's singing along, and all of a sudden, stop is pushed right in the middle of the song, and you hear, right. It's like, I didn't even hear that all that echo was in there. So yeah, they use a lot of it, and the reason is because the music eats it. It's like almost mutes it out, so you have to bring it up to make sure that it's actually heard. So when you're talking, then there's no music, right? So we don't want a lot of reverb because it sounds kind of like you're in a big cave. But when you're singing with music, it's really a good thing. I'm sorry I didn't bring it up in the earlier shows, but you've got it now. Tony's in his own studio. We've spent a lot of time getting things to work, and we're happy how well it's working. Here we go.
My company, my company. Once you know what my love's gonna feel like, nothing else will feel right. You can feel like moonbeam ice cream, taking off your blue jeans, dancing at the movies. 'Cause my company, my company. Once you know what my love's gonna feel like, nothing else will feel right. You can feel like moonbeam ice cream,
you absorb
taking
it.
off your blue jeans, dancing at the movies. 'Cause my
Okay, one more time for Tony.
my company.
Listen and absorb.
Once you know what my love's gonna feel like, nothing else will feel right. You can feel like moonbeam ice cream, taking off your blue jeans, dancing at the movies. 'Cause my
Okay, go ahead, Tony.
my company. Once you know what my love's gonna feel like, nothing else will feel right. You can feel like moonbeam ice cream, taking off your blue jeans, dancing at the movies. 'Cause my company,
You're so much closer, Tony. So much closer.
once you know what my love's gonna feel like, nothing else will feel right. You can feel like moonbeam ice cream, taking off your blue jeans, dancing at the movies. 'Cause my company, my company. Once you know what my love's gonna feel like, nothing else will feel right. You can feel like moonbeam ice cream, taking off your blue jeans, dancing at the movies. 'Cause my
Yeah.
company.
Yeah, okay, so, when we're very young and we're hearing an artist for the first time that we'd like to be like, and we start singing along with them, we are actually trying to create a unison. You may not be familiar with the term, but that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be like that star because we're infatuated. We want to do that. We love it, so we want to be able to do it. So that's what Tony was trying to create, a unison. And his unison was far closer at this tempo than it was at the original tempo, right? And he as a singer who's got experience, he can feel when he's becoming in unison with Benson, and then he feels when he's a little bit out. But again, that's not real precise. It doesn't tell us everything that Tony really needs to know. So the next step is he's going to record along with Benson so that he can hear the difference when we play it back as to when he's on with Benson, because that's the most important thing. When you're on is what matters, not when you're off. You can say, okay, it was a little off, big deal, move on. Then you go back to creating that unison. Once you create that unison, then you know what Benson knows. Now, it goes into a lot more detail than this. I mean, there is the way that he inflects, there's the way he says particular words. I mean, you can get really deep into this. It all depends on how much you care about your career, how great of a singer do you want to be. Well, if you want to be one of the best, then I would say listen to every little detail. But again, that's not within the purview of today's live stream. But if you buy the Vocal Muse system, you can do it on your own. You don't need me, because you're going to be able to record too. So when you record like Tony does here, you're going to actually be able to verify, was the key too high? Am I straining? I better change the key. Am I pushing? Am I a little bit ahead of the beat? Am I a little bit behind the beat? Am I sharp? Am I flat? Benson will be there to help you verify. My students pay me thousands of dollars to help coach them through this so it's faster, so we can get things really done, because I can hear much better than they can until they get it themselves. Then they have it. They don't need me anymore, and that's what I want. I want people to not need me. Want me, yes, work with me, but I don't want these codependent relationships. All right, here we go. You ready, Tony?
I'm ready.
We're recording. Here we go.
My company, my company. Wouldn't you know what my love's gonna feel like? Nothing else will feel right. You can feel like moonbeam ice cream, taking off your blue jeans, dancing at the movies.
Great. Okay. So let's listen back to that. Let's see what's going on here. This is all about learning. You know, a lot of these YouTube programs that you watch are hyping you. So they're, this is great, and we love this, and blah, 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 blah. Well, that's not teaching. That's hyping. So I'm a little lower key, and I hope that that is okay with you, because you're going to learn a lot faster if you take your time and absorb, back to that word, what it is that I'm showing you. Okay, so I've amplified that. All right, so here's Tony's voice, and here's Benson's, and we're going to listen to the unison, and we all can say, gee, that's interesting. I wish I could do that, and I wish I had time to do it a lot more, which is what Tony's wishing right now, because as a performer, he, of course, would prefer to show you how well he matched Benson Boone. Well, if you want to see him, he's here in Vegas. You can go out and watch him, and you're going to love it, because he's turned this into art. And we'll talk about that in the next little section of our meeting here today. All right, we're just listening back. I'm going to save us a little bit of time by not listening to the introduction of this section. Here we go.
Won't you know what my love's gonna feel like? Nothing else will feel right. You can feel like
Beautiful.
moonbeam ice cream, taking off your blue jeans, dancing at the movies.
Let's hear it again.
My company.
It's the unison that matters, folks.
Won't you know what my love's gonna feel like? Nothing else will feel right. You can feel like moonbeam ice cream, taking off your blue jeans, dancing at the movies.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel it slipping in and out every now and then, but when it does hit, very cool.
But, you know, you in your mind can testify, if you will, to when you were singing with him, you heard a certain amount of unison and a certain amount of off, but when you listen back, you hear it differently, right?
Absolutely.
Now, this goes back to the listening. So let's make two words kind of synonymous, listening and absorption. We can't absorb without listening. If we're singing, we're not absorbing. Now, when you're singing after you've listened, then you are doing some absorption. But mostly it's the listening. And all great musicians do this, whether it be guitar licks or, you know, Chick Corea things on the piano, or trying to figure out how he made that synth sound, or, you know, whatever. You've got to use your ear. You just can't just play over it and say, oh, I got it. I mean, you can, but you're kidding yourself. So we don't want to kid ourselves. We want to be on stage with confidence, with intent, with emotion, with great things that people can want to hear. They're going to come out and pay us because of that. They're not going to come out and pay us because we're perfect and we're like, they're going to give us polite applause. Yes, that was very nice, Tony. Thank you very much. But and Tony can attest to this, if you're feeling it, if he feels the song deeply, then the applause changes to this. And if he's doing a restaurant, the tip jar goes up. If he's doing a concert, people are standing up instead. You know, it completely changes how the audience reacts to you. These are the tools. This Audacity and watching Melodyne, just briefly, these are the tools. These are what we need in order to create our art. Just like a sculptor needs a piece of clay. Great singers will tell you, oh, so-and-so influenced me throughout my life. You know, that was a big deal when Adele came out. She says, oh, yeah, you know, Billie Holiday, you know, she referenced back to the old blues singers. Really influenced her. Well, now, using this system, a person can influence you much faster and do it much more efficiently, so that you really actually learn something rather than just, oh, I hope I absorbed it. Because believe me, those people are very rare. The ones who can just hear what it really sounds like and duplicate what it really sounds like are extremely rare. So I don't want you to be in that position where you have to hope that you can do it. So I designed this so you can make absolutely sure you can do it. All right, so we talked about artistry because everybody thinks, well, I don't want to sound like Benson Boone. Well, yeah, I agree with that. It's not about Tony becoming Benson. That's not the goal here. The goal is to learn from Benson because he has a very specific way of doing things, and it's very cool, and we all love it. And it's nice to do his happy song for a change. So when we go into the emotion part here, we're going to take a look at that. And this is my Sing From Feel method. And I've written a book on it. It's called Sing From Feel, Unleashing Your Authentic Voice. And it explains very clearly how to go from being a beginner to being a rock star and how you use emotion along with vocal technique. There's no vocal technique in the book. But along with, learning how to build your voice, which you should do with a private instructor, never with a YouTube video. That will hurt your voice. And if they want to sue me, go ahead. But I've seen it. Students come in here that have used those YouTube videos, really good ones, really great voice teachers, really great exercises. But those tapes make you the teacher. You're not the teacher. So you try and you fail, and then you come to me, and I have to break all the habits that video program put into you. So you paid twice, and a lot more to me, right? So go to a private instructor first. If you ever get to be a good enough teacher that you can actually do those things, then go for it. I mean, if you know internally exactly how that exercise is going to work and you can do it the right way, go for it. I'm not against that. But if you don't, that stuff is the blind leading the blind. I like to say that YouTube videos are deaf and blind voice teachers, because once you click play, there's nobody there. So anyway, that's my soapbox for the day. Okay, so we're going to get into emotion now. What Tony's going to do here is I'm going to remove his track, and he's going to sing along with Benson at this tempo. Well, actually, well, let's let him do it one time. Let's be fair, folks.
Give me a chance.
Yeah, that's right. I know time is money and all that kind of stuff, but give him a chance, right? So you're going to listen one time through Tony. You've got the words in front of you. Sing along with him, and then I'm going to not completely remove him. We'll show how lol lol works. Let me ask you, would you prefer to have him a little bit in there or completely gone when you sing it for with your own technique, with your own artistry?
The second time around, yeah, I wouldn't mind losing him completely.
Okay. All right, so we will lose him. But if you're not at Tony's level and you still need some support, with the stem splitter, you can turn Boone's voice down without turning the music down. And that's really cool because a lot of people, they learn a song, then they grab a karaoke track and they feel completely lost. It's just, where'd my support go? Well, with this, you can slowly remove Benson until you feel like, okay, I don't want him anymore. He's in my way. So I'll get rid of him. And that's the point you want to get at when you really feel like you're an independent artist and singer. All right, Tony. So sing it once, and then we'll remove Benson.
Okay.
He'll be gone. He won't like that, but he'll be gone.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I know. Egos and all that.
My company. Once you know what my love's gonna feel like, nothing else will feel right. You can feel like moonbeam ice cream, taking off your blue jeans, dancing at the movies.
Okay. Now, it would be my advice that you keep it at this tempo.
Okay.
For your artistry, but if you'd like me to speed it up, I will.
No, let's stick with this.
All right. So, okay.
Until I get to know it better.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to mute Benson.
Okay.
That's this track right here. If you all are trying to follow along with this technology. Now, what Tony's going to do is he's not going to go crazy and improvise this whole thing like it's a new song. He's not. I mean, maybe he will eventually, but right now he's just going to kind of feel his way through it, see what he likes, see what comes out as information he's learned from other singers, see what might come out that's kind of like Benson. In other words, artists have to, the saying is, throw it in the wall and see if it'll stick. We have to, those modern painters, just throw it up there and say, and they look at it and go, oh, that looks cool. All right, I'll keep it. Or no, erase that, get rid of that. So that's part of artistry. Writing songs is the same thing. Ready, Tony?
Yes, sir.
Here we go.
Once you know what my love's gonna feel like, nothing else will feel right. You can feel like moonbeam ice cream taking off your blue jeans, dancing at the movies.
Yeah, good. You hear he picked a couple of alternative notes, right? Okay, so now let's go back to recording. So we're going to record Tony. So again, he can do some verification. What did I like? What I don't like? And then we'll talk about how the emotions really affect all this. Here we go.
Once you know what my love's gonna feel like, nothing else will feel right. You can feel like moonbeam ice cream taking off your blue jeans, dancing at the movies.
Yeah.
This is a fun song to play with.
And even slow, it's happy.
Yeah, it is.
And we'll talk about that in a minute. All right, so let's check that out. Let Tony do his evaluation. And, everybody's got an opinion, right? So we're not going to be surprised if you have one out there who's listening, whether this is a recorded version or live, either way. And again, feel free to chat with us so that you can get questions answered. You can see that I'm quite busy here, but Tony's kind of got an eye on the chat. I don't know that he can respond, but I can, at least verbally. Okay, let's listen to this, Tony.
Once you know what my love's gonna feel like, nothing else will feel right. You can feel like moonbeam ice cream taking off your blue jeans, dancing at the movies.
Okay, so of course that's going to be a lot like Benson because he's just learning it, but you heard some differences. I did.
Yeah.
Now here's where this all comes into focus for the audience because they don't care about any of this. If they're not singers, they're not watching this show. They could care less. But the emotion that Benson provides us, this is what is really important. So, Tony, to save time, I'm going to have you look at the entire phrase. Just look at the lyrics, and then inside yourself say what emotions are welling up inside because of what I'm reading. These are your words now, not whoever wrote. There was like 5 or 6 guys that wrote this along with Benson, so it's one of those team efforts. But just kind of think what feelings do these words bring up? Go ahead. You can go internal. You don't have to answer right away.
Okay. Well, oddly enough, because I sort of listened to the lyrics a few times, I'm just picturing sitting in a movie theater next to somebody first date, and I'm already a little enraptured.
All right.
I'm a little bit caught up in what's going on. I'm already feeling something wonderful and sort of hopeful that the same thing's being replied. And in my head, I'm like, oh my God, once you know what this love's going to be like, man, nothing else is going to satisfy that because this is going to be so wonderful for you and so great for you. And oh my God, I'm comparing it to ice cream and there's nothing better than ice cream. And then,
right.
Then the intimacy comes. I'll leave the rest of that to myself.
Of course, yeah. That's after the movie theater. We're not going there. It's between him and her, whoever that is.
Absolutely.
And I know who it is, but I'm not going to say anything. Okay, so at least I better hope who it is for my sake.
Yeah, okay.
For my sake, not for Tony's, but for mine. No, Madeline is so sweet. Okay, so I love the word enraptured. I don't even know if it is a word, but I love the way you used it. You're enraptured with this woman. You're like, yeah, that oxytocin they call it is flowing, like,
absolutely.
and the pheromones are screaming, and your brain just goes into this whole different place, and so this gives Tony a chance to relive that. So this time, as he sings it, and we'll record it, he's going to actually be feeling what he's singing more than thinking. Now, granted, we didn't give him time to really memorize this, so he could only feel it. Again, everything that you hear today is a little bit not exactly the way we want it, but we're here to learn, not to show how great we are. Certainly Benson Boone is great. I feel like I'm really good at explaining how to learn from Benson. Tony is doing a great job of demonstrating, but we're not trying to show you that, hey, I can hit this high note just like so-and-so. That's not what we're here. We're here to learn, not to show off. Here we go. Oh, got to remove him. There we go. Let me do that again. Sorry. Give Tony an introduction. I forgot I didn't want to bring him back. Here we go.
Don't you know my love's gonna feel like nothing else will feel right? You can feel like moonbeam ice cream taking off your blue jeans, dancing at the movies.
Oh my gosh.
I had a totally different feel doing that one that time.
So did I. Wow. And I've seen this before, and I don't know that Tony and I have ever gotten here, so this might be a surprise to him. Technically, you sang that better.
Huh.
I actually have mentioned to you when you sang that song at the show for your wife.
Okay.
It's really interesting how the voice relaxes and the tone color gets better, and you had some little vibratos in there that were really emotional. Like, ba, 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 ba. And I was like, oh yeah. And then as you went to the A flats, they were so much easier.
Yeah.
They floated more, and you weren't perfectly in pitch, perfectly in rhythm. We don't want that, but it is important to sing more easily and to feel good when you're singing, so that other people could feel it too. Now, when you listen back to this, Tony, I don't know for sure how much of what we just talked about you'll be able to hear personally.
Okay.
Because I know a lot of great singers who hate listening to themselves. But I'm going to give you the opportunity anyway. And then, so I want you to wear a different hat right now. You're a producer now. You're no longer the singer.
Okay.
So you're not the singer. You don't know anything about this. You didn't do it. That's kind of how you have to separate your mind. I know record producers that they call it the 30,000 mile view. You got to get up above it and look down on it so that you can get away from the fact that you're the one who mixed it.
Okay.
Right? So it's a similar thing. We have to kind of break away and say, okay, this is just somebody singing their emotions, and I'm just here to absorb whatever I hear coming out. Here you go.
Don't you know my love's gonna feel like nothing else will feel right? You can feel like moonbeam ice cream taking off your blue jeans, dancing at the movies.
Yeah. And that A flat was so much cleaner and so much brighter and happier.
Very cool. Yeah, it's nice hearing it back too. I can pinpoint the little spots where I say, oh, I would like to change that a little bit, or
right.
I'd like to address this differently, or, but there were a couple of those spots that I was, I want to keep that.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice. I like that.
Me too. And, this is the artistry. This is the cross we have to bear. Maybe we're doing it for 2 hours. There was I don't know how many people remember this song because it's actually from the 60s, but it was a huge, huge classic Beach Boys song, Good Vibration.
Great song.
The story is that it took them over a year to get that finished.
Wow.
And here's the story is they recorded it, then the guys would take it home, and they would listen to it and they go, I don't want to do that. I don't like that. So then they go back to the studio and they change it. Then they go through this. I don't, who knows how many times. Maybe there were 3 months in between. Maybe they took a vacation. I don't know. But it took a year before they were said, okay, that's it. We got it.
Wow.
Now, that doesn't happen very often. A lot of these things are done within hours. Quincy Jones, is a producer that I learned some things from, he said that usually the first take, in his experience, were the best. Not because technically or necessarily overall performance was the best, but the emotion was the best because they weren't thinking yet. They were just singing. And he's the father of the advice that when you have digital recording gear, that you just, as soon as everybody walks in the room, you just click record and let it run. He never stops it. Then that way, when he goes through to edit, he can find those natural spots where no one was thinking and everything was just happening. That includes everybody, the drummer, if they have one in today's music. But every instrumentalist that he was producing, he wanted feel. And Michael Jackson was very good at it as well. If you watch the movie This Is It, you actually can hear Quincy coming through Michael's voice, where Michael's going, I want it to pizzazz here, and I want it to kind of settle in like a... The musicians didn't... They may have had music theory, but they never heard him say it. He never said, I want a minor third here, or I want what they call the lift of the third, the minor to the major third, any of that kind of stuff. He just, this is how it feels, this is how I sing it, this is how I produce the instruments, this is what I want you to do. And obviously those guys could do it, or they wouldn't have been in his band, right? So it's an interesting show to watch, to learn about that. So what happened there was, when Tony sang, he shifted his attention from, I'm going to sing this, just like, so we actually really want to get away from that. We want to learn it, but after that, it was like, So now, when his emotions are flowing, everything becomes more human and less robotic. And that's the concept of sing from feel, and that's the whole point. So I've created a 4-column support system, if you will. What do they call that? The Coliseum, those posts that are there, what are those called?
Pillars?
Pillars, yes. Okay, so the 4 pillars of singing, if you want to try to make this all simple. So you have vocal technique, which is basic singing. Now, everybody has vocal technique, whether they know what it is or not, they have it. So there's vocal technique. You can't make a sound without it. Then there's the electronics. The electronics is extremely important, because if you build a vocal technique outside of the electronics, it won't sound right. So these 2 things have to go together. Actually, all 4 of them do. Now, we just worked on the 3rd one about a half hour ago, where Tony was absorbing the inflection and the phrasing. That's more musical. Then the goal here is number 4. That's the emotion. So all of these make this great. But this has to almost kind of live apart from these, because if emotion thinks about technique, then emotion loses its emotion. So these the first 3 have to be subconscious. They have to be totally a part of you. And you could hear Tony has a lot of that already. And then when he put his emotions there, it just made these 3 things better. Made the first, second, third better. So emotions is where it's at, whether it's technique or whatever. And I do use emotions in technique, don't I, Tony?
Yes, you do.
Here goes another check.
My entire approach because of
here's my credit card. Here's my debit card. I want to make sure you're going to get paid for every word.
Please forgive me. I keep muting on and off so that you guys don't hear my dogs inside.
Ah, okay. All right. Yeah, and we don't use echo cancellation in these shows because it creates some other issues. All right. So give me a moment here, Tony. I'm just going to kind of give my statement to end the show. Then we will say goodbye to everybody and hope they all come back. And they don't hate us for some reason. All right, so here's my little spiel on my gear. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground today. We've looked at the invisible rhythms with Melodyne. We've practiced the perfect unison method in Audacity. We've broken down the emotional colors of Magical Mystical. But remember, these are just tools. The software doesn't make you an artist. It makes you an artist. I mean, it doesn't make you an artist. You make you an artist. The artistry gap is that space between knowing the notes and feeling the notes. Most people spend their entire whole lives trying to cross that gap with scales and exercises. But the truth is, and you've heard it now, the fastest way across the gap is absorption. It's about listening deeper than you ever have before. It's about being humble enough, like Tony, to blend your voice with the greats. It's about realizing that the perfection is boring and emotion is everything. If this approach resonates with you, if you're tired of being a good singer and you want to become a compelling artist like Tony, then you want to invite you to go deeper with me with my programs. I have used my 60-plus years experience, the same wisdom that guided Whitesnake, REO Speedwagon, and Anita Baker, and condensed it into the Vocal Muse Suite video program and the Sing From Feel, Unleashing Your Authentic Voice ebook. In that program, we don't just look at one song. I give you a complete roadmap for your voice. I teach you how to master phrasing and how to control your tone, color, and how to find your own unique sound by standing on the shoulders of giants like Benson. I teach you the mental frameworks that the pros use. I teach you how to produce yourself. I teach you how to know how to close the gap and what you hear in your head and how it comes out of your mouth. Therefore, links in the description below and in the chat box. Click to check out the ebook. Click to check out the video program. Don't let another year go by just practicing scales. Start practicing artistry. Start practicing decision making. Mystical Magical is a fun song, but the next fun song should be yours. Use these tools, absorb the greats, and then show us who you are. I'm Brad Chapman, and this has been an Artistry First Breakdown. Thank you for watching. Now go make some noise and have some fun. And I always teach people this way. I say, have fun or else. They go, yeah, okay, have fun or else. So I'm going to put Tony back here because he's such a great-looking guy. And show Tony some love. There is some comments, and there's one comment. Did you see that, Tony?
Oh, let me look down.
Yeah.
BF, BBB.
Best friends? I don't know what that means. But yeah, so it must be positive.
I hope so.
Yeah, well, it's text words, We're not hip on text words.
Oh, very cool.
Now, I have to admit, it's such a crazy morning. I did not get the links in there, but if you just go to Brad Chapman Radical Vocal Coach on my website, you'll be able to find the book and the video program. And, of course, if there's any issues with it, you don't like it, whatever, you get your money back because you're going to learn something. You may not like it, but you're going to learn something. And I'm willing to stand behind it. And Tony stands behind me when he comes to his classes. Otherwise, he wouldn't come. He wouldn't do this with me. So I have a good track record. Any thoughts or questions, Tony? I know everybody'd love to hear what you have to say.
No, I kind of learned something with this one too. I'm sort of a child of the 80s and 90s, so for me to bring myself a little bit more modern with some of the artists that I haven't recognized yet, this kind of taught me I need to recognize some of these people because some of these people are so much better than I ever expected. And I really do I love some of what's out there now that I didn't give a chance to. So I love that. And I do have to say one thing, and it's going to sound like a plug, but I don't mean it as a plug. I mean it genuine.
I have a credit card for you.
Cool, thank you. Now, the greatest advancement that I've had, both vocally and making the connection with how I sing as opposed to what I sing, it has changed drastically because of you, Brad. The technical approach and the emotional approach. I'm singing better and different. I'm being careful when I use the word better. It's too vague, but
no. But you're you, and you're becoming a better you, and there's nothing you shouldn't be ashamed of that or worried about bragging about it. As long as you're not making stuff up.
No. Yeah. You have changed everything about my entire approach, all in ways that I cannot even begin to tell you how much I appreciate.
Now, let me be humble. I can't do it unless Tony applies it. Nothing happens. I can sit here and talk all day long, but if Tony doesn't apply it, it doesn't really have much value. So I give Tony the kudos for putting it to practice because, vocal coaches see a lot of things other people don't. One of the things we see is people who are just curious. I'll go to a voice teacher, see what this is like, and then they quit. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. No force is being used here. So Tony is more dedicated. He's decided to make a life out of it, and it's really paying off for him. There's an old saying, I don't know if you guys hear it anymore, but it's called, son, if you want to be great, you've got to pay your dues. And that was one of the common things the old blues singers used to say to the young uplings. If you want to be able to do what I do, you got to pay your dues. But there's a turnaround that I came up with. If you pay your dues, they'll pay you back.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's what you're starting to experience. I mean, it's not just the advice I gave you, it's how you apply it, all the information and all the knowledge you had before that, and the fact that you're you. And we want to hear Tony. We may not even know Tony, but if we show up at a show and you sing your heart out, then we want to hear Tony. We don't want to hear a Benson Boone cover unless we're going to Vegas to see that kind of thing, which is okay. If you want to do an Elvis cover or whatever, that's fine. But when we go to a show for artistry, when we go to a show to feel something, to feel the hairs go up in the back of our neck, we want to hear Tony. And that's what we just heard. Granted, it was a rough version of it, but it was really, really good. And I hope you all really got a lot out of that because you didn't have to pay for this show. And you got a tremendous amount of information, and that's the world of YouTube. And again, we will say goodbye as we do the play outro and the end stream. And hopefully you'll come and watch us again because we'll be here. It may not be Tony. Maybe Tony will take over the show. Let him do it. We'll put Tony and Nicole up here. And then I'll just sit on the side and go, hey, do this, do that. Yeah, exactly. Sign language. So, again, I hope you enjoy our kidding around because we do. And I'll see you all next time. Thanks, and have a great afternoon and evening wherever you are. Or maybe it's the first thing in the morning. You weren't on the show, Tony, but if you watched the one with Nicole, the Ingeborg, who was chatting, that was 11 at night in Sweden. Oh. Yeah, it was like really cool for her to come on. She wants to come on during some of the other shows that are like 5 in the afternoon, but that's like 2 or 3 in the morning. So she doesn't usually come on those, but she's busy, so she comes on when she can. But it's worldwide. People watch this worldwide. So wherever you are, whatever time of the day it is, just don't let us wake you up if you're asleep. And we will see you next time. All right, bye-bye.